the dilemma of choice implies freedom. Where there is no choice, there is no freedom. So wherever there is a choice, we are talking about the dilemma. So the very dilemma itself is a potential freedom. In the case of other species, we say they have no choice at all. Where there is no choice, there is no freedom. So human beings are always faced with this dilemma of choice, because there is always the potential to be free. Where does the choice come from? What is the source of the choice? We say human beings has choices. At every stage in life, you have to make a choice. Now, what is the source of the choice? Where is the choice coming from? It comes from your own mind that is riddled with conflict. Your own mind that is riddled with conflict, you come in with the dilemma. What is the dilemma? Am I to do this or am I to? Able to follow? Why it is called dilemma is because whatsoever you choose, you are saying no to something else. The fact that you have said no to something else will irritate you, and you will want to go to that which you have said no. As an dilemma. Again, I repeat, you have said no to something. Okay, having said no to something, can you be at peace with it? Have you ever observed, if you say no to something, you will be more constantly thinking about that only. You'll be more craving for it. You'll be more longing for it. Craving for it. So dilemma means you have to say yes to one and no to the other. But the very fact that you are saying no to something itself makes it even more attractive. So what you say no is what you get more and more attracted to. And then the other side of it is, you know that you should not be doing that. You know you should not be doing that. On the other hand, you are attracted to that which you should not be doing. This is the dilemma. The pond. So in order to justify, you come up with reasoning. In order to justify, you come up with your own reasoning. That's why all human beings' reasoning is so funny. But you don't laugh at them because they get very hurt. But the truth is, whatsoever reasoning they come up with, it doesn't make any sense at all, because it is as reasonable as in the poem Pond, the chicken reasoning. It is exactly that. No change at all. To a large extent, you can see it in another, but you can't see it in yourself. To a large extent, you can always see it in another, but you can never ever see it in yourself. This is the dilemma of choice. Dilemma of choice means two forces are pulling you in opposite directions. There is a force that wants you to lift yourself up and go high. There is another force that is pulling you down. There is one force that wants you to go high, become better, liberate. There is another force that is pulling you down. Yeah, two forces. கீழே இருக்கிற ஃபோர்ஸுக்கு பேரு கிராவிட்டி பிசிக்ஸ்ல. மேலே இருக்கிற ஃபோர்ஸுக்கு எஸ்கேப் வெலாசிட்டியா? There is something that is pulling you down, and there is something in you that wants you to fly. That is the dilemma. What is the dilemma? Of the two, which one? You will want to fly in materialism and in sensualism. Adu nadakathu. You will want to fly high by choosing the path of materialism and sensualism. That is not possible. That's where we need to make the right. The dilemma of choice. There are these two forces always. One forces wants you to go above the gravity, rise above the gravity. There's another force that pulls you down. It appears to be the force that is pulling you down is more powerful. It appears to be so. Reality, it is not like that. It appears to be. So what is dilemma of choice? Remember the two forces. Kathopanishad calls it as Shreyas and Preyas. That which pulls you down is gravity. That which wants you to fly high, that which can tell you that you can defy that and go out. It is also possible. So whoever makes the right choice have resolved that dilemma. Whoever has made the right choice, the dilemma is resolved. Otherwise, it's a constant dilemma. Can't we have a balanced approach, sir? Yeah, another problem. Can't we have a balanced approach of both? If you try to have a balanced approach of both, you are utterly confused. You are utterly confused because upper part of the body will go above and lower part of the body will be grounded. How it will happen? One part of you will fly high, another part of you will be grounded. How is it possible? You follow? Therefore, those who try to balance are the most confused. Those who try to balance are the most confused people. A materialistic person also can fly high very fast, but the guy who's trying to balance both can never grow. So the dilemma of choice is don't try all these things and understand what is the dilemma, the conflict of the two forces. The conflict of the two forces. One thing in you wants you to fly high, liberate. Another thing in you is chaining you down. You do actions that will chain you down and you expect and you come and ask, why am I not flying? You tie yourself with all the weight where you can't even get up. Isn't it? You tie yourself with all that. And then the question is, why am I not flying? This is the dilemma. So what knowledge says? Of the two, you have to choose one. The two always appear in the two always appear in the mind. Appear in front of you. Appear in front of you means appearing in the mind, and you have to make a choice. This is known as the dilemma of choice. This is the dilemma. Whatever is powerful, when I say whatever is powerful, means invariably it is a materialism and sensualism that is powerful. You will make a choice to be materialistic and sensual and then give reasoning to support it. Always remember this. This is how you can overcome all the dilemma and all that. You keep repeating it again and again and again. Remember the law. To escape this dilemma, to do the right thing, remember this law. What is the law? Justifying the wrong choices is a preparation to do it again. Remember that. Whatsoever you justify, you are preparing yourself to do it again. And you see, all human beings, everybody will have a justification, which that person will call it as reasoning. That person will not call it as justification. That person will call it as reasoning. And that reasoning is so convincing that you can do it again and again and again. It is so convincing. Why will you not do it again and again and again? Why will you not keep making these choices again and again and again? Because you have full justification. Therefore, remember this. Justification is a preparation to do it again. Another way. Whenever the mind says, I can't do the right thing, remember, you are saying, I don't want to do the right thing. Again, I repeat. Whenever you say, I can't do the right thing, you are not saying, I cannot. You are saying, I don't want to do the right thing. The words that I use justify. The words that I use justify my actions. Therefore, it is very important to understand this. All this can be spoken in the context of the dilemma of justification is a preparation to do it. I can't do it means I don't want to do it. I can't exercise. Okay, are you in ICU? I can't exercise. Are you in ICU? No, sir. It means what? I want to do. Most of the time when a human being says, I can't do, at least you should be able to realize that person want to do. Now we are not talking about somebody here. We are talking about how your own mind keeps you in this dilemma and drives you to make the wrong choices. So whenever a person says, I can't do, they are simply saying, I don't want to do. Why I don't want to do? Why I don't want to do? Because it's painful. Because doing the right thing is always painful. Because of the pain of doing the right thing, the mind says, I can't do. It's not that you cannot do. You don't want to. Why you don't want to? Because of the element of pain. Painlessly, how can I do the right thing? Painlessly, how can I do the right thing, sir? There is no such thing like that. All good things, all meaningful good things will be painful. Amritam Visham. Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. Amritam and Visham. But the mind always says, I am willing to do, but just to remove the pain part. Remove the pain part, then I will do. Who will come and remove the pain part? Who will come and remove it? The pain. You follow? Therefore, the dilemma of choice is always about, it's not that I can't do, I want to do. Why I won't do? Because painful. Remove the pain. If indulgence is painful, nobody will indulge. You follow? Supposing if life has made indulgences very painful, nobody will indulge. Indulgences are so pleasurable, so enjoyable, so pleasant it is. The thought of it is so, whether actual indulging comes much, much later, the actual thought of it itself is so pleasant. So what is the choice? The choice is always between Indulgence versus non-indulgence. That's the dilemma. Always the choice is between indulgence and non-indulgence. But sir, once in a while it's okay, no? You'll start bargaining. Once in a while it's okay, no? How many times in a month I can overeat? How many times? How many times in a month I can overeat? Ram Subramanian, how many times? Yeah. Just 30 days in a month, that's all. How can you do that? You follow? So the mind always, have you ever observed, your mind will not bargain for indulgences. The mind will always bargain for. You don't have to persuade the mind to indulge, but you have to so much of persuasion to do the right thing. Then dialogue. You will follow? To do the wrong thing, guidance vanda, persuasion vanda, it will happen all by. It will go all by. But how much of effort and persuasion to do the right thing? This is the dilemma. And for every indulgence, there is a reasoning like the chicken reasoning. For every indulgence, there is a reasoning. The human mind will not yield. The human mind will not stubbornness. You follow? Finally understand this. Take it or leave it. This is the reality. Take it or leave it. Truth in Anna. Stubbornness and depression are two sides to the same coin. Stubbornness and depression are two sides to the same coin. A stubborn person is a depressed person. A depressed person will be stubborn mind. People talk about depression, all that. No, what is just the stubborn mind. That's all it is. That's why in the olden days, they have this method. Sir. Take the whip and give 3 whacks. That's the only way. Persuasion, do it's okay, don't worry, I am there for you, everything will happen. Nothing will happen. Depression jasti aine. Depression will only become more and more. What is the other way? Because it is so much of tamas. What can you do to the tamas? Tamas will not go by persuasion. Tamas will not go by pleading. Tamas will not go by. Tamas needs. Yeah, tamas needs whipping. One back. Through knowledge and understanding. We want to develop the regulator of fear and do the right thing. But it's not working. Again, I repeat, through knowledge and understanding, we want to develop the first regulator of the human being to do the right choice. What is the regulator? The first regulator that brings discipline to a human being? Fear. It is the fear that brings in discipline. You follow? Why so much of depression around? Why so much of depression around? Either through religion, philosophy, we want to avoid action, or through science, we want to avoid action. The human mind uses science to avoid action, or the human mind uses religion to avoid action. When the human mind uses science to avoid action, we call it as technology improvement. When the human mind uses religion to avoid action, we call it as escapism. But both means the same. What? There is an aversion to action. That's the dilemma. Always the choice is action versus non-action, inaction. That is the dilemma. Always the choice. And invariably, what will you choose? Inaction only. Or if you have to persuade you to action, in alarm or no. Temptations, gift to yeah, you have to keep tempting the mind, you have to keep gifting the mind, you have to do so many things so that the mind will just get up and go for a walk. What will they do? Not that they are going to sit into something extraordinary. Just then get up from the seat and go for a walk and come back. For that you have to do. Are you able to follow? This is what we call as the dilemma of the choice, the poem. Before we go into the next topic, the herd instinct, there's a clarification. We'll take it up and then. Yes.
No. Void is filled with desire, but after all, unselfish does this void hope.
Yeah. The clarification that she's asking is, when a person becomes more and more unselfish, will the inner void, will the inner emptiness reduce? Will it go away completely? Yeah. Reduce lang kadayadu. She's correcting me. No, I didn't say reduce. Don't put words in my mouth. Will it go away? Void will go away only when you realize that you are full already. Void will not go away that easily. But through unselfishness, you can reduce it a lot. First thing is to reduce it. Then only you can transcend it. So step number 1 is to reduce the intensity of the void. Step number 2 is to transcend it. So straight away you cannot transcend it. So you can only reduce it. Like first you bring the pain to manageable proportions and then transcend, isn't it? Yeah. First you bring the debts to manageable limits and then only you can become debt free. Straight away you cannot become debt free. You follow? Similarly, will unselfishness help a person in becoming, in eliminating the void? No. Unselfishness will not help in eliminating the void. Then what unselfishness does? Unselfishness will reduce the intensity of it to a very large extent. When the intensity of it is reduced, there is an inner clarity. That inner clarity will make you to gain deeper understanding, and that understanding will make the void empty. In fact, it's not making the void empty and all. You will realize that there was no void in the first place. The void problem. The problem is that which is not there, I feel it is there. So, and I'm fighting and I'm trying to fight and fill something which is not there. What is it that is not there? The void. Right now it is too much to digest. Right now it is too much to understand. Therefore, what do we say? That one day we will come to that understanding. To come to that understanding, unselfishness is a very essential intermediate step. That's why we talk about unselfishness first. Okay. Now, we will read the topic, the herd instinct. We will read up to, who's reading today? Huh?
Please.
Oh, you are back. Okay.
Yes.
So read up to the 6 reasons. Read up to that. Yeah.
A herd instinct. Few in this world think and decide one's course of action. People do what their predecessors have done with little investment of thought. You go through scholastic education because all others have done so. You join a university and pursue a degree, again following the general trend. Get into a profession or business by mere peer or parental pressure. Choose a partner without examining the reasons for a life's commitment. Beget children, not realizing the consequences thereof. Thus, everyone goes through each facet of life without thought and reason supporting it. Just imagine, even before growing into an adult, a person asserts he is a Hindu, Christian, Muslim, etc. What is the basis for such a grave assertion? Without giving the subject intellectual scrutiny and analysis, everyone vehemently upholds one's creed and denounces others. Each fanatic adherence to one's religion has caused social chaos, and the lack of intellectual application has resulted in bitterness, animosity, and bloodshed to the human race. Humans today follow a herd instinct, like sheep following sheep, like pigeons following pigeons, etc. But you notice a tiger walking all alone, an eagle soaring high in the sky all by itself. This is possible because these creatures have individual strength. So too, a human being needs intellectual strength to stand on his own feet, to guide his life's choice in the world. And if he does not possess a strong intellect, he just follows the herd. In July 2005, a newspaper in Turkey carried a caption: 1,500 sheep take suicide leap off cliff. The report referred to an incident in Cevaz, a town in eastern Turkey, when a sheep leapt to death from a cliff. Following a herd instinct, nearly 1,500 more sheep plunged into the 15-meter drop in a bizarre mass suicide. Stunned, shepherds looked on helplessly as their sheep took the fatal leap. So is the herd instinct devastating the human race. The world today is emaciated of reason and logic. Even the intelligentsia have stopped thinking. Humans have lost their dignity and grandeur and have led themselves to a dire consequence of strife and struggle, vandalism and terrorism, misery and death. Even after being driven to such extremity, the world has not woken up from its intellectual slumber. The herd instinct continues. A typical example of the lack of intellectual application is the way people treat the institution of marriage. They plunge into relationships with hardly any thought, reason, or judgment backing it. Interestingly, there are 6 broad categories for anyone to enter into a marital relationship.
Yeah, the 6 reasons is not applicable to us, so we will leave it in choice. Yeah, because it's already done and over. So what is the point in talking about talking about that? So what is herd instinct first? What is herd instinct? Herd instinct is a mob behavior, a crowd behavior. That is herd instinct. To put it very simply, when a person is walking, when a human being is walking all by oneself, that person will not have courage to take the stone and throw at the police. When the same person is walking in a crowd of 5,000, gets the strength, and they start throwing stone. Where does the strength come from? The crowd. Are you able to follow? What is herd instinct means now? A behavior that is determined by the crowd. A behavior that is determined by the crowd is called herd instinct. Crowd means somebody before you doing that, and you also follow that. That's what the herds do. The first one takes the right, the whole lot will take to the right. The first one takes to the left, the whole lot will take to the left. No questions asked. That is herd. This sheep mentality, this herd mentality is a very good, it gives you a very good feel of security, a false sense of security. Because of that false sense of security that the crowd gives, they always fall. That is called herd. That's called herd instinct. It gives you a very cozy personality. It gives you a very convenient, appears to be very obedient, appears to be very all that. But in and through all that, there is none of this. It is simply a herd instinct. Most people, I'll give you some indicators of herd instincts. Then you will understand what is being discussed here. Have you ever observed most people don't have a problem with you thinking independently? As long as your thinking is in agreement with their beliefs. Again, I repeat. புரியுதா நான் சொல்றது? Everybody will say, I give freedom to others. I allow everybody to think. But actually, it doesn't happen like that. Why? As long as your conclusions are same as mine. As long as your conclusions are same as mine, I will allow you to think. As long as your conclusions are not in agreement with my conclusion, you are not allowed to think. And a human being finds it very convenient to follow the conclusion of somebody. That's what he calls it as intellectual slumber. In herd instinct, there is a convenience. In herd instinct, there is a convenience. Convenience of not having to take responsibility at all for what you do. Don't blame the world only. Herd instinct society is influencing everybody. Not that. Why, in spite of all this, a human being finds it very convenient to be following the herd? Because they don't have to take any responsibility. Why? So they told me to do, I did. That person asked me to do, I did. Therefore, it is their fault, not mine. Are you able to follow? Very difficult to say, I made a choice and I take responsibility for. You cannot do that. You have to go and blame somebody. That's why herd instinct is a very convenient tool for that. And invariably, you can always find something from somebody. Oh, what can she do? Ami. Poor thing. What can she do? Because whatsoever is said, it can be used. The herd instinct will turn back and use it. Because what is herd instinct? They told me to do, I did. So if anything goes wrong, it is a mistake. If anything goes right, if anything goes right, that is mine. If anything goes right, it is mine. If things go wrong, yeah. Carefully follow. If you act like a sheep, you will become the scapegoat. It's a law. Again, I repeat, if you act like a sheep, herd instinct, you will become a scapegoat. You cannot escape that. It's a law. Therefore, the intellect is given to a human being not to fall a victim to the herd instinct. Herd instinct doesn't mean going out and calling everything as coming out of herd instinct doesn't mean you go and call everything as wrong. You don't say the society is wrong. You don't start everything. You don't become a political commentator calling everything as. That is not coming out of herd instinct. Then what is coming out of herd instinct? A mechanical, robotic way of pattern always suits the mind. Because mind will turn everything into robotic at some point of time. In that robotic way of functioning, the mind feels comfortable. Why? Because then only it can ramble. Then only it can wander. Then only it can ramble. Otherwise, alertness and awareness is very difficult to the mind. So in order to escape that alertness and awareness, all that you have to do is what? Follow the herd. Herd means somebody has said it simply, or simply follow. You cannot follow like that. You cannot. Where this lack of intellectual application happens, definitely there is going to be an animosity. Just for the sake of understanding purposes, use two words. Both can be used interchangeably in the English language. But to distinguish the concept, I'm using these two words in a very different sense. The two words to understand herd instinct is, one, you can call it as individuality. Another, you can call it as personality. Just use two words. Don't look into the dictionary meaning. I'm using it in a very special, unique sense to bring a distinction. Individuality means that which you are. Personality means that which is imposed by the society. That which is imposed is personality. That which you have is individuality. That individuality in Vedanta is what we call as swabhava. Your nature, we say. Are you able to follow? So there is this thing called individuality, and there is something called that is imposed by the society. Always there will be a problem between society and individuality, because society will want personalities. Society will not want individual, because individuality means asserting certain things. Independence. Personality means following a society can be convenient if all are herds. If all are converted into a sheep, there can be an order in the society. Religion comes and says that's a very unnatural, suffocated, depressed order. Even though from outside it may look like an order, in reality it causes suffocation, depression, etc. Therefore, what is the right way then? Personality, sheep nu vechukongo. Individuality, tiger, lion. Understand it like that. Personality, understand it. Don't get confused with your English vocabulary of personality and individuality. Ram Subramaniam. Purida? He's the only irritating person in the class. Individuality and personality. That which is given collective. Personality means you are so carried away by anything and everything around you. Not that you are genuinely convinced about it. You are following because it suits you. It suits your lethargy. It suits your laziness. Are you able to follow? Herd instinct doesn't mean anybody following a law out of, it's not somebody following a law out of an understanding. It is everybody follows because it simply suits them. It's so easy. That is called herd. That is called herd instinct. Institution of marriage is an example that is taken. We'll discuss that also. But before we go into that example to understand herd instinct, we will generally understand what is herd instinct. We are definitely born in a crowd. We definitely have to live in the crowd. All that is understand. You can't go and live isolated. So we are born in the crowd. We have no choice but to live in the crowd. If you don't have the filter mechanism of intellect, the crowd will start loading you. The crowd will start loading you. What do they load you with? Their own beliefs, their own notions, their own superstitions, which they understand it as knowledge. The crowd starts imposing on you, which they believe it is knowledge. But invariably, what do they impose? They impose only superstitions, conditioning, etc. Have you ever observed? Everybody will say, don't listen to others except me. Have you ever observed? Everybody is wrong. Then what do I do? Hey, I am there in front. No, you are well-wisher. Why can't you just? We cannot have a dialogue. We cannot have a conversation. We can only impose. You follow? So what happens? By and large, that becomes the way of living. That imposing becomes the way of living. So what do? They continue start imposing on each other. Remember this. If you live according to the crowd, you will be miserable. Why? Again, I repeat. If you live according to the crowd, you will be miserable. Why? Answer? Because the crowd is miserable. Because the crowd is miserable. The crowd is not made up of Buddhas. The crowd is not made up of Shankaracharyas. The crowd is not made up of Buddhas. The crowd is not made up of wise people. Who? The crowd is made up of whom? Blind. As blind as? Yeah, as blind as? Who's the crowd? The crowd is as blind as you. Therefore, what will happen? We are not saying the others are wrong. We are not saying others are bad. We are not talking ill about the others. We are only discussing what is the crowd made up of. The crowd is made up of misery. So what do? Okay. Can a miserable person give joy to another? Within myself, I will suffer, sir, but I give joy to everybody else. அப்படி நடக்குமா அது? Is it possible? அப்படிலாம் முடியாது. In your movies, it will happen. In your hallucinations, it will happen. In your hopes and expectations, it will happen. A joyous person can radiate joy. A miserable person will radiate misery only. And crowd is made up of miserable people. So what do they transfer to you? Misery only they'll transfer. Now what will you do? Do that. Correct. Aparna. Correct. Pannadango apdi. Yeah, don't do that. What will you do? You will continue to do the same thing, because that's how you have trained yourself. That's how you went and got trained. See, what does the crowd think? Better future, sir. Better future. What is better future? You ask anybody, what is better future? Better future is exactly the opposite of your past. Whatever you call as better future is exactly the opposite of your past. Supposing if you are born and brought up in a house where you are all by yourself, what is better future? Always people around. Yeah, that is better future. Barbie dolls will not come. People will come. Yeah, when people come, along with them, what will come? Oh, this I don't want. So when you say better future, you really don't know what is better future, because according to the crowd, the misery is because of what they call as better future is nothing but the misery of the past. They have some miseries from the past. Future means opposite of. Supposing if you are born in a family of 15 people all the time, where you don't find one corner to hide and read one book. Yeah. See, all books cannot be read in the public, no. Correct? All books, Ram Subramanian. Yes or no? See, all books cannot be read in the public. Some books has to be read in privacy. And 15 people all the time. There's no corner where you can hide. So what is better future? There, I will have my room, my space, and nobody will disturb. You have your space, and then you will start crying. I'm feeling very lonely, sir. Nobody is there. Okay, somebody comes. Oh, they have taken away my space. Become misery. When you are lonely, you will say, I want space. When space is given to you, you will say, very simple, sir. When I want space, give my space. When I want you to come, you come. When I say get out, get out. Where is the problem in life, sir? Why are you complicating? It doesn't solve the problems of life. Problems of life, very simple. What? When I want you, come. Now that I'm bored with you, half an hour, I'm bored with you. Leave. Quite if you leave, there's no problem, sir. Only if you continue to stay, then only the able to follow. What is herd instinct? A behavior pattern that you develop without any, a behavior pattern, a lifestyle that you develop without any thinking involved is called herd instinct. A lifestyle, a behavior pattern of yours without any thinking behind it is called herd instinct. And what is the consequence of that herd instinct? consequence of the herd instinct is very, very simple. Misery. Why? Because everybody is trying to get rid of their misery. You say, my intention is to get rid of misery, and you do exactly the opposite. Everybody says, I want freedom from misery, and they will do exactly that which will make them more miserable. And then they'll come and ask, what to do now? What to do now? Oh, yeah. Sleep and wake up. What else to do? So, what is herd instinct? Herd instinct is not blaming the society. Please understand. Herd instinct is not blaming the others. Herd instinct is not to blame the society. Herd instinct is not to blame anything and everything outside of you. Doing that is herd instinct. Then, what is the opposite of it? To stand on your own feet. To stand on your own feet. What is standing on your own feet means? You have an individuality and recognize that individuality and live life according to that. That is called standing on your feet. Opposite of that is what? You go by what others want you to do. Are you okay till now? Why do you do that? Not because you are affectionate to them, not because you trust their judgment, not because you treat them as God. You do it because it is so convenient to you. So even there, herd instinct is born out of not others brainwashing you. Otherwise, herd instinct will appear like others are brainwashing you. It's not others brainwashing you. You choose to do that way because you find comfortable, you find your comfort being part of the crowd. Herd instinct means comfortable being part of the crowd. Again, I repeat. Herd instinct means finding comfort being part of the crowd. You follow? Why? It comes from a deep-rooted human weakness. What is a deep-rooted human weakness? Strength comes from numbers. Again, I repeat. Strength comes from numbers. More the numbers, more the strength. 4-digit bank balance. 4-digit bank balance. Shivering, isn't it? 8-digit bank balance. 8-digit na evlo? Summa I said 8-digit. 8-digit na evlo? Vijay, 8-digit na evlo ba? Crore? Huh? Million? Crore. 4-digit bank balance in a shivering in the shoes. 8-digit bank balance in a abba, I'm secure, sir. A fallacy that strength comes through numbers makes the human being follow the herd because they believe numbers is security. This fallacy goes everywhere. That's why even when you go to temple, have you ever observed, you can't go to one temple. You have to go to hundreds of temples again. You can never be happy going to one temple. Why? Because if gods in the other temples get angry, what to do? I have visited 1,000 temples. One temple number is very less. 1,000 temples. Are you able to follow? Herd instinct is arising from a fallacy in thinking. What is a fallacy in thinking out of which herd instinct arises? Strength comes from numbers. Therefore, a human being always start looking for numbers. You follow? Can numbers give you strength? It cannot. Why? At what number you will feel comfortable? When you have 4 digits, you will think 6 digits, you will put a stop. When you come to 6 digits, you will think at 8 digits, you will put a stop. When you come to 8 digits, you will think 10 digits, you will put a stop. When will you put a stop? Because a weakness for numbers continues. The weakness for numbers continues. It can be wealth, it can be people, it can be following. Yeah. Even in a classroom like this, isn't it? First thing that people will do is what? They will check how many has come. Oh, nariya per vandirukkrangala. If lot of people have come, abada, I'm in a safe place. Only I am sitting. Yeah, Ganesh. Only you are sitting, you are leaving the door open also. Nobody is coming. 7 o'clock. I'm looking at Ganesh. Can we start the class? 2 minutes wait panna, sir. Why 2 minutes we'll wait? Maybe when one person walks in, what a relief it gives. This is herd instinct. You follow? Strength always comes from numbers. That's why the example of tiger or lion or eagle is given, where they fly, they go, they are all by themselves. Don't take it too literally. What it means is a sense of self-sufficiency. Yeah, a sense of self-sufficiency is what opposite of herd instinct is all about. Where you lack that self-sufficiency, you will necessarily become part of the herd. One of the typical example of herd instinct is marriage. Next week we will talk about it. What part? Nothing to talk. Yeah, nothing to understand. We'll just no word in the book. We will leave choice in Radhanala. We will read through that also. Otherwise, non-detailed study, we can leave something in choice and go away. Choice just to avoid that the sin varavana meant to, we will read that also next week. But nevertheless, what you understand as herd instinct today? What is where is the herd instinct coming from? People generally believe society, sir. Herd instinct means others are overpowering me. See, people always believe they are a victim overpowered by others. Herd instinct. Herd instinct means the fallacy is there is a lack of intellectual understanding. There is a lack of knowledge and understanding. What is that? Strength comes from numbers. Numbers all that I need is yeah. See, I'm not asking for hundreds and so just one person is enough, no, sir. That's why they say, okay, can you handle one person? Yes, sir, one person you can marry. Oh, that is the way to handle one person. I don't want that. Everybody says, I'm not a weakness and all, it's so good, sir, but all that I want is one person. That's all. I'm not asking 100. I just one person, sir. Oh, one person is okay. Are you sure? Yes. That one person from whom you think security is going to come is marriage. That one person through whom you think all that is going to happen is called marriage. After getting married, you realize what? That has become another insecurity. So why? Understand the fallacy, the herd instinct. Blind person plus blind person equals vision. That will follow. Blind person plus blind person equals blindness. That will follow. Miserable person plus miserable person equals misery square. Isn't it? Miserable person plus miserable person plus miserable person equals misery cube. 3 na cube தானே. அப்புறம் to the power of 4 to the power of 5 போயினே இருக்கும். So what is herd instinct? Remember, herd instinct is not to blame the society is imposing you. It's not to blame the society. It's not to blame the others and saying that, yeah, I am an innocent victim. Long back, I used to say that. I'm talking about 25 years back. Somebody I said this. No point in saying that. I still remember one of the very first places in Chennai, in Kodambakkam, when we were doing the class, somebody came, sir, proofreading pannu they gave. I still remember that. 98, I think. Proofreading. Matrimony advertisement, proofreading. There is a correct organ, so if it is correct, I'll put it. I read all that and said the first word mattum eliminate it. Remove that's the first word. Rest or all is perfect. First word. Can you guess the first word? In my first word, the divorcee. First word in that. Can you guess anybody? I know all of you have not heard me telling so many stories. That's why I'm saying. People stories change. Previously, I used to give different stories. Now I have changed the stories. And everywhere it is happening now, what do we do? In this way. I told that person, I still remember telling him. Starting. Innocent divorcee. Innocent, I am an innocent divorcee. I said, if you are innocent, divorce wouldn't have happened. The fact that you are divorced means you are not innocent. But then you are so convinced about what? You are so convinced about what? I am an innocent victim. This is herd instinct. Are you able to follow? This fallacy makes you to follow the herd, makes you part of the herd. Are you able to follow from where herd instinct comes? Most of the time, people misunderstand this herd instinct as society brainwashing you, society influencing you. Others that is not. Understand, others are not influencing you. You allow them to influence you. How are you allowing them to influence you? That is herd instinct. That's what is called as, what is it? A fallacy. What is a fallacy? Strength come from numbers. Second is, if I follow the crowd, I don't have to take responsibility. Sometimes you find in the news nowadays, where there is a mob violence, the newspaper report will say, FIR filed against unknown persons. How can there be a violence? Because there are 10 people there are 10 persons who have done it. No. Where did they get that strength from? See, when they go all alone, a street dog barking is enough to scare this person. The person is walking all alone, a street dog barking is enough to scare. And the same person is walking in a crowd of 5,000. Where does the person gets the courage to take a stone and break the glass? Where does strength come from? Numbers. We will follow. So what does herd instinct means? A weakness where you cannot stand by your swabhava, where you cannot stand by your individuality, and Because of this weakness, you allow yourself to get carried away by the society and then blame the society. In this classroom, when we are discussing this herd instinct, we are not blaming the society as wrong, you are innocent. Are you able to follow? He's saying that you are a victim of the herd instinct because of certain inherent fallacies that you have in you. What is that inherent fallacy? Strength lies in numbers. Sannyas is the greatest experiment of trying to be alone without anything and see how courageous you can be. Are you able to follow? If marriage is one experiment, sannyas is another experiment. Ayanalatha marriage experiment is successful anada sannyasa pomudu. Are you able to follow? Marriage failure ana you can't become a sannyasi. Marriage is the marriage la pass anada Ravi. Only if you pass here, you can become a inge ellarum fail. Sannyasa is the bold, very bold experiment. What is that very bold experiment of sannyas? To be all alone without anything and see within yourself, are you feeling insecure or secure? Are you able to follow? In Bhajagovindam, he says, the person have left anything, has left everything, only begging bowl in his hand. In the middle of the night, he will wake up to check whether the begging bowl is there or not. The fellow has left everything, as begging bowl as the only possession. He's sleeping. Middle of the night, the middle of the night, he wakes up and checks. Begging bowl is there, security. Falls back to, are you able to follow? This is herd instinct. And human being is a victim of that. Example of that is marriage, which we will study next week. With this, we conclude for today. Yes, sorry. Please. Yeah.
This herd instinct, actually it is imaginary that nobody says you don't do it. I myself think what society will think.
Yes.
It is also.
Yes.
Is it also a herd instinct?
Yes. Weakness for the numbers. Weakness for what others are. Now, sorry. What Ravi is asking is, what would you call weakness for the opinions of others?
Yes.
Are you able to follow the question? What Ravi is asking is, what would you call that which is the weakness for the opinions of others? Same herd instinct only. Because others matters. That crowd of people standing in front of me has to keep certifying me all the time. So, constantly seeking certification, constantly seeking validation. From whom? See, constantly we seek validation. Constantly we seek assurance. Constantly we seek confirmation. From whom? The herd instinct. Yeah. One blind person will go to whom? Another blind. Another blind person only will agree. Have you ever observed? Blind person, logically speaking, to whom should the blind person go for guidance? Someone who has eyes, but it doesn't happen like that. A blind person will go to another blind person only. Just as when a child has a trouble, it will go to another child to discuss. That's why it will come home and say, I discussed it with my friends. Have you heard? You feel like giving 2 to that friend first, isn't it? You feel like giving 1 to your child and going and giving 2 to that friend. Why? Because who's that friend? Another child. Why do they go? Because only they understand, sir. Simply in agreement with all of them. Understand simply in agreement. That's why they say, friends understand each other well, no, sir. They don't understand. They simply Huh? Very interesting. See, the human mind is so funny. And if you can look at yourself, you can only laugh. You can never get angry at yourself. You can never get depressed. You can only laugh. What is that laughter? It's like that. When one child has a trouble, logically speaking, the child should go to the adult, maybe the teacher or the parent, isn't it? Maybe you should go to the teacher or you should come to the parent. They will not come. Not only they will not come, they will come up, they will find a solution also. And who's the solution provider? Huh? Another mind, another child. And it will come home and say, I discussed it with my friend. Oh my God. Nothing can be annoying the parent more than that, isn't it? The children will think, oh, why are they against you? They are not against the friendship. They are saying one child cannot, see, one child cannot guide another child. One child cannot parent child. Ravi, falling for the weakness for the opinions of others means weakness for society means what? For instance, what will they think? What will they think? As though you are so concerned about what they think. Huh? See, on the one hand, you will worry, oh, what will they think? On the other hand, you turn very indifferent also. It means, what are you? Just a bunch of, huh? Just a bunch of, is it? Just a bunch of contradictions. A bunch of convenience. Ah, correct. Fool. A bunch of foolishness. Bunch of, yeah. Yeah, it's a bunch. All things upon and tight together. That's what he calls as a Ravi. Okay. Why did you ask this question today? Last week you should have asked, or next week you should have asked. Yeah. Find out why he asked this question. We'll continue next week.